Hello, my name is Rosario Sandoval-Belloso, and I will be presenting on sustainable intensification for smallholders. Sustainable intensification practices can increase smallholder yields, which in theory reduces demand to clear additional land. Practices that include intercropping, ecosystem-based pest management, and equal resources for women. There are three main issues. The food gap. There is a large food inequity between social and economic classes. The nutritional gap in the developing countries and fully developed countries is increasing, much like the wealth gap. Nearly 1 in 3 people in the world did not have access to adequate food in 2020, about 2.37 million, yet it is those in low socioeconomic stations that often carry the burden to farm the food they cannot afford to keep. According to the United Nations that estimates that 70% of 1.3 billion people in poverty worldwide are women. Second is increase in food demand. There is an expected 35% increase in global food demand by 2030. A major factor for this increase is world population growth. And third, the gender gap. There is a gender gap in agriculture in low-income countries between the resources and rights available to men who work the land and those available to women who do the same. Women have less access to a range of resources from land, right, and credit to education and technology, even though they farm as capably and efficiently as men. Inequality in assets, inputs, and support means women produce less on the same amount of land. Women are also low paid or underpaid laborers and have less access to cash or credit. Now we're going to be looking at our solutions. Intercropping. Intercropping involves cultivating 2 or more crops in a field simultaneously, which gives additional yield income unit area than sole cropping. It acts as an insurance against failure of crops in an abnormal year. Intercrops maintain the soil fertility as the nutrient uptake is made for both layers of soil. Reduction in soil runoff and controls weeds. In addition to cash crops, cover crops are also sometimes used in intercropping. Intercropping is a sustainable practice that can improve resource use efficiency, such as nutrients and water, allowing low input agriculture practices. Secondly, another solution is ecosystem-based pest management. Ecological pest management focuses on preventative rather than reactive approaches to pest management. By increasing biodiversity and creating habitat for natural enemies, land managers can boost natural pest control services and reduce reliance on pesticides. The restoration of plant diversity in and around crop fields combined with a variety of cultural, biological, and mechanical pest management practices can keep pest populations below damaging thresholds without the use of chemical interventions. The third solution is equal resources for women. Closer Closing the gender gap can improve the lives of these women, their families, and communities while they address global warming and can also control emissions. After all, women do make up the 43% of the agriculture labor force and produce 60 to 80 of the food crops in the impoverished parts of the world. These practices together result in increased yield on farms managed by smallholders. If 16.3 to 32.8 million hectares of farmland were managed with these three sustainable intensification practices, this solution could reduce 0.68 to 1.4 gigatons of carbon dioxide by 2050. What actions can we take and what can we do? Shop at your farmer's market with sustainable tables, eat well guide, and find a CSA farm near you. Eat seasonal foods. This goes hand in hand with shopping at CSAs and farmers markets. Another thing we can do is, according to Professor Bina Agarwal from University of Manchester, acknowledge and affirm women as farmers rather than farm helpers, and stop the undermine and foster institutional innovation and collective approaches designed for female smallholders, like group farming attempts. Another thing we can do is take action and allow women to get educational opportunities, family planning, but overall the goal is to raise women's self-respect and social and economic status by affording them equal participation in their communities. You can donate to UNICEF to help them on their mission to do this. According to the Drawdown textbooks by Paul Hawkins, the drawdown results by 2050. Now we're looking at the ranking and results by 2050. 2.06 gigatons reduce CO2. This is the CO2 that has been saved. Data to variable is to be determined the amount it would cost. And last, 87.6 billion net savings is the amount we would eventually save. So, a question for discussion could be this: what are the sustainable benefits of increasing gender equality, and how can we achieve it? All right, class, so this concludes my presentation regarding sustainable intensification for smallholders. These are some references you can take a look at in case you want to research further or read further. Thank you for watching.